Good morning, everyone, board members, executives. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you today. For those I haven't met yet, my name is Hussain Munir, and I have been appointed the role of Chief Information Security Officer for Summit Group. As Summit Group positions itself for the next phase of growth, we are entering markets that demand a far higher standard of cyber resilience, particularly critical infrastructure and defense sectors. With more than USD 10 billion in future project opportunities ahead of us, cybersecurity is no longer a support function. It is a strategic enabler that directly determines our license to operate and our ability to win work. At the same time, the cybersecurity threat around the construction industry has intensified dramatically. Our industry is now ranked among the top 10 most targeted sectors in Australia, driven by large cash flows, highly interconnected supply chains, time critical operations, and increasingly data rich project ecosystems. This means our exposure is higher, our risk surface is broader, and our expectations from clients, regulators, and government agencies are significantly elevated. Today, I will walk you through Summit's cyber resilience strategy, a strategy designed to ensure resilience, continuity, and compliance as we pursue major projects. Summit Group is entering markets where cyber resilience is no longer optional, but essential to our growth. Clients and regulators in critical infrastructure and defense expect a far higher standard of maturity than our current repeatable level, creating both competitive and operational risks. Our stakeholders are aligned. Cybersecurity must enable growth, strengthen assurance, ensure continuity, and minimize financial exposure. With ISO 27001 now a pre-bid requirement, uplifting our cyber capability is mandatory to compete for upcoming major projects. We are now seeking board approval for an additional 5.4 million investment to close the maturity gap, reduce all critical and high risk to within appetite, and position Summit Group to pursue the USD 10 billion pipeline with confidence. Our approach started by grounding the entire program in Summit Group's business growth strategy, ensuring that every cyber resilience initiative directly supports our ambition to scale into critical infrastructure and defense markets. From there, we undertook a detailed current state assessment, benchmarking our maturity, identifying gaps in controls and processes, and evaluating how today's threats could exploit these weaknesses across our projects and operations. With this foundation, we define a target state that reduces all critical and high risk to within board appetite, aligns us to industry benchmark, and meets the regulatory expectations tied to our future project pipeline. To reach the target, we develop a prioritized 3-year roadmap supported by clear budget and sequencing of initiatives, ensuring we uplift the right capabilities at the right time. And importantly, the implementation of this strategy will be tightly governed through the newly established Information Security Committee. We recommend the Information Security Steering Committee is established as soon as possible to oversee and guide the development, implementation, and continual improvement of the group's information security management system. The committee will be chaired by the CEO and co-chaired by the Chief Information Security Officer. Members of this committee will include senior executives from risk, audit, operations, HR, communications, and IT. Monthly, the committee will meet for reviews, and the board will receive quarterly updates from the committee. We conducted an external cyber threat assessment using intelligence from both public and private sources, including CyberCX. The analysis confirmed that attacks from cyber criminal groups and state-sponsored actors represent a critical and escalating threat driven by Summit Group's cash flow environments, high cash flow environments, strict project timelines, complex supply chains, and involvement in critical infrastructure delivery. To quantify the financial impact of ransomware, we partner with CyberCX to perform a fair-based risk quantification assessment. The result indicate a 33% annual probability of a ransomware event affecting Summit's group, with an average loss of approximately 10 million per incident, driven by operational downtime, capital replacement, incident response costs, and potentially regulatory penalties. We actively manage a broad range of cyber risks across Summit Group. However, for the purpose of this strategy, our focus is on the critical and high risks that pose the greatest threat to our operations and financial stability. Our highest impact risks include ransomware, business email compromise, and OT IoT compromises that could disrupt construction site operations, cause significant downtime, and lead to substantial financial losses and regulatory penalties. The strategy is designed to reduce these top risks to within the board approved risk appetite by accelerating the mitigation of all three critical risks by March 2027, followed by the reduction of the remaining high risk by March 2028. By targeting a structured uplift of controls and capabilities, we will ensure that the organization achieves measurable and sustainable reduction in risk exposure. Having now established the scale of our exposure, the maturity gap we face, and the specific risk that threatens our organization and revenue pipeline, we bring together the pathway required to close that gap. This roadmap sets out a clear, structured 3-year plan that moves Summit Group from our current repeatable state to a fully managed state by March 2028. It delivers the exact capabilities needed to reduce all critical risks by March 2027 and all remaining risks by March 2028, bringing the organization to within the board-approved risk appetite. Building on the maturity gap, rising threat environment, and the clear risk exposure we've outlined, it brings us to the strategic options available to uplift our cyber resilience. We evaluated 4 pathways from doing nothing to basic uplift to enhanced transformation and assessed each against cost, maturity, uplift, regulatory compliance, and risk reduction. The analysis shows very clear picture. Only option C, the balance option, delivers the necessary uplift to achieve ISO 27001 alignment, reduce all critical and high risk to within appetite, and elevate Summit Group to a managed maturity level over the next 3 years. Collectively, these initiatives form an integrated risk reduction program that directly mitigates ransomware, business email compromise fraud, OT IoT disruption, supply chain compromise, and insider threats. This target uplift reduces all critical risks to medium by March 2027 and all high risks to March 2028. This established the foundation for ISO 27001 certification, operational resilience, and protection of revenue and reputation. Option C represents the only strategic pathway that delivers the right balance between cost, maturity, uplift, and risk reduction. It enables Summit Group to reach a managed level of cyber resilience fully aligned with the ISO 27001 requirements and bring all critical and high risk down to within the board approved appetite. Summit Group is at a critical inflection point. The decision before the board is not simply about funding a cybersecurity uplift, it is about safeguarding our license to operate. Failing to act carries a far greater cost. A stagnant cyber posture will place upcoming critical infrastructure and defense projects at risk, expose the organization to multi-million dollar operational outages, and jeopardize revenue pipelines already exceeding 10 billion US dollars. This choice is clear. Invest now to enable secure strategic expansion or risk losing market opportunities, client trust, and competitive advantage. This decision defines whether Summit Group moves forward with confidence or stands still while the industry accelerates. Your approval protects our future. Thank you.